Most people think stockpiling is the moment survival becomes easier. The shelves are full. The storage room is organized. Canned food stacked neatly against the wall. Bottled water lined up in perfect rows. Flashlights, medicine, fuel, generators. Everything looks prepared. Safe, controlled. And psychologically, that's the dangerous part. Because the moment people see a large stockpile, the brain relaxes, the fear drops, the urgency disappears. People start believing survival has already been solved. But long-term collapse does not usually destroy people because they had nothing. It destroys them because they misunderstood what survival actually consumes over time. That's the stockpile problem nobody notices until it's too late. At first, supplies feel massive. Enough food for months, enough water for weeks, backup batteries, backup fuel, backup medication. The room itself creates psychological comfort because visible abundance tricks the mind into believing time has been purchased successfully. And during short emergencies, that illusion often works. A storm lasts a week. Power returns. Supply chains recover. Normal life resumes before deeper problems appear. But during long-term collapse, stockpiles begin changing emotionally long before they disappear physically. Because survival does not consume supplies evenly, it consumes people unevenly first. The first mistake usually appears during the opening weeks of crisis, when adrenaline is still controlling behavior. Families eat more than expected because stress changes appetite. People snack constantly without realizing it. Children eat out of boredom. Adults eat out of anxiety. Long hours trapped inside uncertainty create emotional consumption patterns nobody planned for. And emotionally, eating feels stabilizing. A warm meal creates temporary normality. Coffee creates temporary routine. Comfort food creates temporary relief. So people quietly consume their best supplies first, without even noticing the psychological pattern forming. The expensive freeze-dried meals disappear early. The snacks disappear early. The easy meals disappear early. Because stressed humans naturally reach for emotional comfort before long-term efficiency. That's why many stockpiles fail mathematically before they fail physically. People calculate survival using perfect discipline. Real human beings rarely survive with perfect discipline, especially exhausted ones, especially frightened ones. And after several weeks, another problem appears that most preppers barely think about. Food fatigue. At first, stored food feels reassuring, but eventually the same rice, canned beans, powdered meals, and preserved foods begin wearing people down psychologically. Humans are deeply emotional eaters, even during survival situations. Variety matters far more than most people realize, not because of luxury, because morale affects decision-making. A person eating the same bland meal every day slowly loses motivation. Appetite changes, energy changes, irritability increases. Children become harder to manage emotionally. Families begin wasting food, not because they lack hunger, but because repetitive meals become mentally exhausting. And that's where dangerous decisions begin. People start opening supplies they promised themselves they would save. Special food reserved for emergencies, higher calorie items, better tasting items. The emotional logic always sounds reasonable in the moment. Just this once. We need something different. Morale matters too. And it does matter. That's the uncomfortable truth. Survival is psychological before it's physical. But emotional survival also consumes stockpiles faster than people expect, especially after the world stays unstable longer than anyone prepared for. Water becomes even more dangerous psychologically because most people misunderstand how much they actually consume daily. During normal life, water feels invisible. Showers, cooking, cleaning, flushing toilets, washing dishes. Small daily habits consume enormous amounts without anyone noticing because modern systems hide the labor behind convenience. But once infrastructure fails, water becomes physical immediately. Heavy, limited, difficult. And most stockpiles fail because people calculate drinking water only. Not survival water, the water needed for cooking. Minimal hygiene, cleaning wounds, washing containers, managing sickness, flushing sanitation systems temporarily. People imagine survival as sitting quietly beside stored supplies. Real survival is constant physical maintenance, and water disappears frighteningly fast once that reality begins. That's why many survivors start rationing too late. The stockpile still looks large visually, so psychologically people feel safe longer than they should. But mathematically, the decline is already irreversible. And then comes the humidity problem. One of the quietest stockpile killers. Most people imagine stored food staying frozen in time. Safe, stable, untouched. But long-term storage is a living environment. Moisture changes everything slowly. Basement humidity, condensation, temperature shifts. Tiny leaks nobody notices for months. Food packaging weakens gradually. Labels peel away. Cardboard softens. Mold appears silently behind stacked containers. And by the time people discover contamination, it is usually spread further than expected. That's the terrifying part about long-term storage problems. They rarely announce themselves early. They grow quietly, especially during collapse, when people are already distracted by larger stress. Security, power loss, neighborhood tension, sleep deprivation, fear. Under those conditions, small maintenance failures become invisible until they become serious. And long-term collapse punishes invisible problems brutally. Medicine becomes another hidden disaster. At first, medical supplies create emotional comfort. Painkillers, antibiotics, prescription medication, first aid kits, backup inhalers. People assume possession equals safety. But medicine obeys time differently than food. Expiration dates begin approaching quietly during prolonged crisis. Heat damages effectiveness. Humidity damages packaging. Improper storage destroys sensitive medication faster than expected. And the most dangerous part is that medicine often looks completely normal even after losing effectiveness, which creates false confidence. Someone takes expired antibiotics, expecting recovery. Someone relies on weakened insulin. Someone saves critical medication too long because psychologically they fear using it too early. That's another stockpile problem almost nobody discusses honestly. People become emotionally attached to supplies, especially scarce ones. They delay using important resources because using them makes the crisis feel more real. So medication gets saved for later, until later becomes too late. The same thing happens with batteries, fuel, and generators. Generators are one of the biggest psychological traps in long-term survival because generators create the illusion of normal life returning temporarily. Lights come back on, refrigerators work again, phones charge, fans move air through silent rooms, and emotionally, that feeling becomes addictive very quickly. But generators consume more than fuel. They consume invisibility. Noise travels much farther after collapse, especially at night. Modern people rarely understand how loud generators truly are, because civilization normally hides sound beneath traffic, electricity, crowds, and constant environmental noise. But during prolonged blackouts, neighborhoods become unnaturally silent. And inside silence, a generator sounds like an announcement. We still have resources. We still have fuel. We still have power. That attention becomes dangerous faster than most people expect, especially after desperation spreads. At first, neighbors simply notice. Later, strangers notice. And eventually, people begin calculating what your noise means. That's when stockpiles stop being private survival tools and start becoming visible targets. Because after enough time passes, survival is no longer just about what you stored. It's about what your survival reveals to other people. By the second phase of long-term collapse, stockpiles begin changing from survival assets into psychological burdens. At first, supplies create comfort, control, stability. But after enough weeks pass, every item inside storage starts carrying pressure instead. Every can opened means one less remaining. Every battery used becomes a decision. Every gallon of fuel burned creates anxiety about the future. And slowly, survival turns mathematical. People begin counting constantly. Meals remaining, water remaining, medicine remaining, calories remaining. That constant counting changes the emotional atmosphere inside homes. Families discuss portions more carefully. Parents quietly reduce their own intake first. Children notice tension even when adults try hiding it. And the hardest part is that stockpiles rarely disappear dramatically. They shrink slowly, quietly, almost invisibly at first. That's what makes long-term depletion so dangerous. Human beings react strongly to sudden threats, not gradual decline. A half-full shelf still looks safe emotionally. A partially full water tank still feels manageable. But survival math does not care how safe something looks. One of the biggest hidden problems is organizational failure. At the beginning, people label supplies carefully, rotate food, track expiration dates. But after months of stress, exhaustion changes behavior. Water collection, security, cooking, poor sleep, sanitation problems. Survival slowly destroys consistency. And once organization slips, waste begins multiplying quietly. Older food gets forgotten behind newer supplies. Expired medication stays mixed with usable medication. Batteries leak unnoticed inside containers. Most stockpiles don't fail all at once. They fail through small, neglected mistakes repeated for months. Sanitation becomes another invisible problem almost nobody prepares for properly. People stockpile food aggressively, but ignore waste management. Garbage, human waste, spoiled food, dirty water. During long-term collapse, waste changes the environment emotionally and physically. The smell changes first, then insects, then contamination risk. And psychologically, dirty environments accelerate hopelessness faster than hunger. Humans associate cleanliness with stability. Once homes begin smelling different and feeling crowded or damp, stress increases dramatically. Sleep worsens, patience shortens, conflict grows inside families. And under that pressure, people begin making emotional decisions instead of rational ones. That's when boredom consumption begins. People open extra food simply to feel temporary comfort. Snacks disappear early. Morale meals become more frequent. Coffee gets consumed faster than planned because routine itself becomes emotionally valuable after collapse. And individually, these decisions feel harmless. But survival rarely fails because of one major mistake. It fails because small emotional choices accumulate over time. The same thing happens with fuel. Generators create one of the most dangerous illusions during prolonged collapse. They temporarily restore normal life. Lights come back on, refrigerators work, fans move air through silent rooms. But generators consume more than fuel. They consume invisibility. During widespread blackout conditions, neighborhoods become unnaturally quiet. And inside silence, a generator sounds extremely loud, especially at night. That noise broadcasts something dangerous to everyone nearby. We still have resources. We still have fuel. And after enough time passes, people begin noticing who still appears comfortable. That changes neighborhood psychology completely. At first, communities cooperate. Later, they observe. Eventually, they compare. And comparison becomes dangerous once desperation spreads unevenly. That's why experienced survivors become quieter over time, less visible, less predictable. Because after prolonged collapse, survival is no longer just about storage, it's about concealment. The families most likely to survive are often not the ones appearing strongest from outside. They're the ones attracting the least attention. Because once collapse lasts long enough, visible abundance becomes a liability. And many people realize that far too late. And eventually, every long-term stockpile faces the same problem. Time. Not dramatic collapse, not sudden attack. Time slowly changing human behavior. Because after enough months, survival stops being about what you stored. It becomes about how well you adapted psychologically. The people who fail first are usually not the least prepared. They're the ones who built stockpiles around comfort instead of reality. People who imagined survival as temporary inconvenience instead of permanent lifestyle change. Because real collapse slowly exposes every weak assumption hidden inside preparation. Too much food, but not enough water. Plenty of calories, but no sanitation plan. Medicine stored improperly. Fuel without noise discipline. Large, visible stockpiles inside unstable neighborhoods. And the most dangerous mistake of all. Believing possession alone guarantees survival, it doesn't. A stockpile is not survival. It's time, that's all. Time to adapt, time to organize, time to change behavior before the environment forces change violently. And the survivors who last the longest usually understand something most people realize too late. Stored supplies are only useful if the people using them remain disciplined emotionally. Because fear changes consumption, stress changes judgment, exhaustion changes routines, and long-term collapse slowly turns small mistakes into irreversible problems. That's why experienced survivors become quieter over time, more careful, more efficient. They stop treating supplies like emergency comfort and start treating them like life support systems. Every gallon matters, every calorie matters, every battery matters. Not because panic controls them, because reality does. And after enough time passes, the smartest survivors stop asking, "How much do we have left?" They start asking, "How long can we remain stable without attracting attention?" Because after prolonged collapse, survival is no longer about having the biggest stockpile. It's about maintaining stability quietly while the world around you becomes increasingly desperate. That's the stockpile problem almost nobody notices early enough. The real danger is not running out suddenly. It's slowly consuming your future while believing you're still safe. And before we end this documentary, if you're someone interested in building a faceless YouTube channel like this one and earning from videos like these, there is a way some creators speed up the monetization process. Instead of waiting months to reach 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers, they use a service that helps them reach those requirements much faster. If you want to learn more about it, you can check the link in the description. If this video changed the way you think about survival stockpiles, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below with the hidden stockpile mistake you think most people would overlook during a long-term collapse. Because survival is not just about what you store, it's about what your survival slowly turns you into.